So we have sales data for the iPhone 16 series, and it seems the base model is taking away sales from the Pro, which is basically what I saw happening. Let's delve in. So CIRP published data for iPhone sales in Q1 of this year, and essentially the Pro and Pro Max accounted for 38% of total iPhone sales in this quarter, down from 45% last year with the 15 series. And this was mainly because the 16 Pro dropped to 17% of market share compared to 22% with the 15 Pro. The Pro Max also saw a slight dip. The 15 Pro Max this time last year was 23%, whereas the 16 Pro Max is 21%. But the big winner has to be the regular iPhone 16. This accounted for 20% of US iPhone sales, up from 14% of the iPhone 15 had achieved. The Plus, however, hadn't picked up. Just like the 15 Plus, the 16 Plus only accounted for 9% of sales. Now, breaking down all these percentages, the iPhone 16 has been a massive success, and it makes sense because apart from the lack of 120Hz, this is the closest a base iPhone has been to the Pro phones in years. With the iPhone 14 and 15, you had older chipsets, but the 16 went back to using the latest SoC alongside the Pros. You also got Apple Intelligence and camera control on the base model, which were the two main features the Pro models had last year. So when there's a cost of living crisis, it totally makes sense that consumers are settling for a standard iPhone when they're not really missing out on much by not getting the Pros. The 16E, by the way, has already accounted for 7% of sales, and according to early sales data, is doing really well. And so expect the iPhone 16E and 16 to be the best sellers from here on. And you may say, of course the cheapest phones are doing the best, but actually that's not always the case. Last year's data would show the Pro Max was the best selling iPhone by quite a margin, and whilst that's still the case with the 16 Pro Max accounting for 21% of sales and the 16 accounting for 20%, I am expecting the regular model to take over eventually. And you know what you should do eventually? Click that subscribe button. It's free and will bring you the latest about Apple right to subscription box, so please consider it. Join the Surroundbite gang now. By the way, the Plus not seeing any growth really shows why Apple wants to release an iPhone 17 Air instead. But unpopular opinion, I don't think there's anything wrong with the Plus per se, it's just that a full model iPhone lineup never seems to work. People weren't interested in the Mini, now also the Plus. Maybe the sleek design of the Air is going to entice consumers, but I just don't think there's a need for a fourth iPhone in the range. Just offer one base model and two sizes of the Pro. That's what works with the iPhone 11 series, and I do wish Apple just went back to that. If anything, the E series could be the fourth new iPhone in the range. But anyway, I expect the regular model to continue being a great seller for Apple based on what we've heard about the base iPhone 17. First things first, we are getting Pro Motion at last. This is by far the biggest feature that sets a 16 and 16 Pro apart, but it seems with the Pro phones getting more expensive, Apple's happy to make the base model more enticing, and so this should now come with a very similar display on the front. The Pro may continue to be slightly larger at 6.3 inches and may also hold on to the always-on display, but I think most are fine with the 6.1-inch form factor, and the lack of an always-on display isn't a huge miss in my opinion. Obviously, we'll also get the usual jump to A19. There'll be a new 24-megapixel front-facing camera that should help improve selfie quality, and a much more efficient Apple Wi-Fi 7 chipset, which should lead to better battery life, which is going to be another big reason many would want to upgrade. So it's not the most exciting refresh, it is the only new iPhone this year not getting a design overhaul, but 120Hz and better battery life should be enough to get people to upgrade. I'm expecting Apple to sell a lot of regular iPhone 17s, and if we do get slight price increases across the boards, I expect more and more consumers to just settle for the base model because it's so similar experience-wise. Heck, even I'm considering it as a 14 Pro Max user. And let's now move on to leaks about this year's Pro models. We have early tidbits about the shades we can expect with the 17 Pro and 17 Air, and it's not really that exciting. John Prosser tells us he's seen a silver, black and white iPhone 17 Pro, though he's unsure these colours are final, and also blue iPhone 17 Air. Now, I do want to mention, colours are something that's finalised a little late, I believe, once mass production is in full swing, and so what John tells us could be wrong, and I low-key hope it is wrong, because I've been hoping and praying that with the switch to aluminium on the iPhone 17 Pro, we could see more exciting colours with the Pro models, and silver, black and white are not exciting. I'm sure Apple offers standard black and white option as always, but I hope that similar to the regular models, we do see bright shades of red, blue and green on the Pro phones, as it is much easier to colour aluminium than titanium. The blue 17 Air does sound nice though. I hope it can live up to the ultramarine on the 16. That was a beautiful colour. Prosser also says the Pro Max would just be a bigger version of the Pro, and you might be thinking he's just stating the obvious, but no, we have actually heard news that the 17 Pro Max may have a smaller island the regular Pro does not get. In previous years, the Pro Max has sometimes gotten exclusive features that would usually be camera related, and so it seems this earlier rumour about a smaller dynamic island coming to the 17 Pro Max is false. To be fair, I always thought it never made sense the Pro Max only adopted that. Whenever we do get a smaller island, expect that to come to both models. That is a visual refresh, and so it would be weird if the Pro Max only got that. Now let's talk about the displays on the 17 Pro. Leaker Instant Digital has told us the glass on these phones are not only getting more scratch resistant, but also have an anti-reflective coating similar to the Galaxy S24 and S25 Ultra. This was a game changer on those phones. It really made a difference outdoors, and so I'm very excited this is now coming to the iPhone. A more scratch resistant display is great too, because ever since Ceramic Shield was introduced, it seems the air can scratch these iPhone displays, and so durability improvement is appreciated, but I'm way more excited about the anti-reflective coating. And yes, I know the anti-reflective coating won't make a difference if you use a screen protector, but regardless, for those who don't use a screen protector, improving visibility outdoors would be appreciated. If you're hoping to see faster charging iPhones, we have news that won't be the case with iPhone 17. Analyst Jeff Pu tells us the complete iPhone 17 range will support 35-watt wide charging, which is about the same as the iPhone 16 series. I know some might be bummed out by this considering lots of Android phones support 50-watt charging speeds, but honestly I'm not too annoyed by this. I'd much rather Apple give us larger batteries that improve the endurance and make these phones last longer, in which case you would only have to charge your phone overnight. So for those unaware, we have heard a lot about a new 40 megapixel telephoto lens coming to the 17 Pro. This was the last lens still on 12 megapixels, as the main camera had moved to 48 megapixels with the 14 Pro, and the ultra wide had moved to 48 megapixels with the 16 Pro. Now with the telephoto switching to 48 megapixels, Apple plans to apparently offer 3.5x optical zoom instead of the 5x currently offered on the 15 and 16 Pro Max. You may think this sounds like a downgrade, but 3.5x optical zoom is equivalent to 85mm, which is better suited for portraits, which is what most use a telephoto for in the first place. Also do remember, like the main 48 megapixel sensor with its 2x digital crop, having a high resolution telephoto means you get better digital zoom, and so you can still zoom in and get high resolution photos with this 17 Pro. You get a max of 25x digital zoom with the 16 Pro Max, so maybe expect 30 or 40x with the 17 Pro Max, whilst offering higher quality photos at those high zoom levels. Now let's delve into new cases showing us the ginormous camera module on the iPhone 17 Pro. These case leaks come courtesy of Sonny Dixon, who's a pretty credible source, and the cases themselves aren't very exciting. They're just regular clear cases with MagSafe. However, you can see there is a large cutout that spans the entire width of the device, and that's going to encompass the familiar triple lens camera on the left, but the LiDAR scanner, mic and flash will now move to the right side. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this, and thank you for watching.